share with you. I've hopped on before with this. I have a little recipe book that I've been working on for years, and I add a couple pages in here and there. And this morning I was going to add on, and I thought maybe I would make a live out of it. So today I'm adding my holiday fudge. So I thought I would go ahead and share that with you, and I will wait just a few minutes here to see if anybody's awake. I'm going to be using gouache today, so I'm going to use my, there's difference of opinions on this, if it's good or it's bad for your brushes to use gouache. I don't use gouache a lot, so hey Tina, how are you? I'm going to paint a page in my recipe book that I've been working on for years. So I thought I'll hop on live here, say hi to everybody, and you can watch me paint it. I'm adding in my fudge. Everybody loves it, and it's literally the easiest recipe ever. So I'm going to add that in. But I am going to be using gouache today because this book that I use, let me get it up there. Hi, Kristen, Montreal, Canada. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of doing too, Lisa. I'm going to use my Dugato brushes just in case. But this is the book I kind of use as a recipe book, and I'll find the link for it. I've had this book for years. I've been working on this recipe book, hopefully to hand down to my kids one day. So I'm just going to put my fudge recipe in there. Hey, Linda, how are you? So anyways, today I will be using my Mission Gouache. I've had this for a while, don't really use it a whole lot because the pages in this book are a little bit thinner, and gouache, you don't have to have as much water. So I'm hoping my pages won't warp and do all kinds of funny stuff. So let me go ahead and get started. As you know, I'm not really a video editor, so I'm going to put my camera up on top here and face it down on what I'm painting, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting. I will tell you up front, I may not be able to see your comments. I'm so sorry, because my phone will be up on top there. So let me go ahead and hook up my phone and dial in my painting here, and oops, you know what, I need to turn my camera around. So there we go. Oh, so there we go. There's my fudge I'm going to be painting. I'm going to be using my little Miss Ceramics palette, and I'll be using those gouache paints there. So let me get hooked up here. Thank you guys for your patience, and we'll just go ahead and start painting here. You know what, that's sideways, isn't it? Let's see if I can get this. Thank you guys for kind of putting up with this. Nope, I'm going to turn it sideways. My goodness, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this is my easy holiday fudge, by the way, you guys. Easiest fudge in the whole world if you like fudge. It's 1 can of sweetened condensed milk and 1 bag of chocolate chips. That's it. You can add in nuts and coconut and all that kind of fun stuff. So back to my gouache. I've had this set for I don't even know how long. Don't really use it a lot, but it is a really good set. So that's what I'm going to be using today. The colors, something really interesting about gouache is gouache actually dries darker, and it dries more of an opaque and matte finish than watercolors. And I've found I don't have to add as much water to it. So it works a little bit better on kind of these thin papers, and I'll find this book and link it for you. So for my fudge, I'm going to be using, I think I'll go ahead and use, again, if you missed it, you guys, I can't see your comments. I'm so sorry, but I'll try and answer afterwards. So hello to everybody. I'm going to use my gold brown here. This set, by the way, has so many colors. So I'm going to use my gold brown, my yellow ochre, and maybe the Van Dyke brown, which is really dark. There we go. And maybe a little red for my can of condensed milk, and yellow for the chocolates bag. Okay, if I need more, I'll come back and get some more. The other thing is I don't put my gouaches in pans, because just what I have noticed is they seem to dry out more than watercolors. So I just use them as is. When I need them, I pull out the tube and I just put them on my palette here. And again, I'm using my Dugato brushes just because these are much less. I share these with you guys as students, and you get a whole set for like $15. Got my Meeden 2 pallets of water here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of these paints on my little palette here. By the way, whenever I've pulled out this little palette, I'm not affiliated with her. This is a girl, she does ceramics, and this is one of her little palettes. I told her I wanted her to make me just for mixing. It doesn't have wells. That is really yellow. I'm going to add some orange to that for my, oops, and that was too much, for my chocolate bag. And then just the tiniest bit of red for my condensed milk label. I don't have one, but I remember it does have red in it. And then for my fudge that I've drawn here, let me just take a peek here and make sure you can see my picture. Hi, Consuelo. I'm peeking out my thing here. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Jean. Okay. I was telling everybody I can't see my comments, so I apologize. I can't maybe answer to you. I'll have to figure that out for future lives, I suppose. All right. So I've got my colors here. I'm going to go ahead. I just wrote out my little recipe, and this is a little book I'm hopefully one day going to hand down to my kids. I've got lots of little fun recipes in here, salads, peach crisps, figgy toast, all kinds of fun things. And today I'm adding this easy holiday fudge. So I've kind of drawn out, and I just try to make these very whimsical and fun. I've drawn out my fudge here, and I'm going to, well, let me get rid of that red. Don't want to start with red. I'm going to go ahead and start with my browns and create kind of a fudge type color, I suppose. There we go. And I was saying I'm using gouache because this paper's a little thinner. I don't have to have quite as much water as I might with my watercolors. I always think of gouache as kind of a hybrid of watercolors and acrylics. And they're kind of nice because I'll go in and paint the little nuts in here. And with gouache, what's interesting is you don't have to go light to dark. You can go dark to light because it's opaque and it covers a little bit better. If you add a lot of water, you could definitely make it more watercolor looking. So I'm just using my brush here and going to go in, kind of color around these nuts, although I really don't have to because I could paint over them, kind of get that fudge type of color in here. And then what I'm going to do as well is leave some white spaces on top to kind of look like it's maybe shiny. So as you can see here, this when I use gouache, it's a lot thicker. That's just how I'm using it today. And that's a little bit better, so I don't have to worry about warping my paper here. So just continuing going around here. Yeah, gouache is an interesting little hybrid medium, I think. It's really great because you can paint over. To lighten it, I typically will use white paint, the white gouache, to lighten. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white in here just to make it look maybe like it's shiny. And then under here it'll be a little bit darker because it's going to have a shadow on it. So I'll add a tiny bit more black. Oops, that's too much. Yeah, gouache can be really fun. The other thing about gouache, in the past I've used it to, you can paint on canvas with it, which watercolors, I mean, I'm sure there's certain ways you can, but for the most part, I have not had good luck with watercolors on canvas. There we go. So hopefully that kind of looks like fudge, right? I'm going to leave some of this dry brush in there because that might look like that texture of fudge. Just keep going here. There we go. And then I'm going to switch over after I paint this piece of fudge here. I'm going to switch over to my little condensed can of milk. And I will paint that. I just think this is such a great gift. I hope my kids love it too. They love a lot of my recipes, and I think it's going to be fun for them. I know my grandma, we all tried to kind of get a hold of her recipes. She had some really good ones. And some of mine are just really easy. By the way, this Mission Gouache, I really do like. They have a ton of colors. So there we go. That's basically what I'm going to do for the rest. And then let's just do this little can of milk here. Let me get my white. I'm going to use a lot of my white. And let me just peek at your comments. I feel bad because I can't tell you I'm not on here. Hi, Julie. Oh, England. Welcome, Julie. Yeah, isn't that a great idea, Kim? Northern Nevada. Lisa, hello. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. I don't even know if they realize I'm doing this, but hopefully that'll be something fun for them and they can recreate my recipes. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, what should we do? Let's do the chocolate chip bag. Again, I'm not using a lot of water because I didn't want my paper to warp. But what's nice is because gouache is so matte and so forth, as you can go from dark to light with gouache, where with watercolor, as you know, the rule is you always go lighter to darker. Okay. And the reason for that is I believe in the gouache, it's the pigment sediment or little particles are a lot bigger and larger, so they don't let in as much light. So that's why it tends to be more opaque, not as transparent as watercolors. That's your little fun fact for today, guys. Okay, so there I go. And then I'll probably just go over and I will just use a pen to kind of write in the names on here. So are you guys getting burned out on Christmas paintings yet? You may not be. I kind of am. Let me just wash my brush. I do make sure and wash my brush a lot more when I am using gouache, by the way, just because it can be a little bit thicker, and so I'm just kind of careful. Let's do this little can of milk here. I'm going to pick up some of that white. And I will probably have to go in and rewrite condensed milk on here, so that's fine. There we go. So as you can see, my paper's not even warping. And this is, I think this is only, this paper is, I usually use 140 pound. I think it's 120. So it's not horrible, but it's quite a bit thinner. So there we go. And now I'm going to go over, let me wash and rinse my brush a bit here. I still can water this down, by the way. Let's just kind of do that and I'll show you. I still can water it down enough that I can get, you know, things like that, these little splatters. So I do love gouache. It is kind of fun. I used to use it a lot more. I don't find myself using it quite as much. Let me just check your comments really quick. Yorkshire, Consuelo. Okay. So what I wanted to show you was how I can paint over some of these other colors. So as soon as this dries, I'll show you how I could paint some red, and then I could even paint some white back over the red, which is kind of cool. I could actually even show you on a little swatch here. So watch this. So here's my red. The one thing I have noticed about gouache is it seems to kind of reactivate easier as far as on your paper. So if I am doing layers, I have to be a little bit careful because when I go over it with another color, it tends to pick up that bottom color. I don't know if that's because it's thicker. That's just my experience with it. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll go over that with white, which is something you couldn't do with watercolors, really. You could go over it with white gouache over watercolors. And by the way, I've heard of people also mixing their watercolors with gouache. So that's another thing you could do. And for this book here too, the gouache is going to remain a little bit darker. I think it's so interesting that gouache actually dries darker, and watercolors, as you know, they dry lighter. So I thought that's kind of interesting, another little fun fact there. On the side of this, I'm going to go a little bit darker so it looks like it's moving back. I hope this looks like fudge, does it, you guys? I was trying to get the nuts in there. That's my favorite. There we go. As soon as that red paint dries on my swatch, I'll show you how easy it is to go over that. So what do you think? You think that looks like, oh, now I stuck my hand in those little splatters. You think that looks like brownies? I hope. I'm going to go over the top here. I usually coat my brownies just so they look kind of festive, with maybe a little bit of fudge or maybe a sprinkling of powdered sugar. So I'll do that, and you can see how that white does pretty well over the brown. Gouache is basically what I use for that. The other thing is with watercolors, the way I lighten my watercolors is with water. And in gouache, I would tend to lighten my color by adding white gouache into it versus adding more water. They're both water-based, but I've just found to lighten gouache, adding in white gouache to it works a little bit better. If you're a purist, you know, I was taught in college never to use white paint or gouache. Matter of fact, I got a really bad grade on a project one year because I had used white paint for some white spots, and my teacher was appalled. So she gave me a bad grade. Okay, so we're almost done here, and I am going to just sprinkle maybe. So there you go. I think that kind of looks like fudge. Maybe we could go in here and add some shadow like that. So what a fun project, right? Oops, I got a little bit of my shadow on my white. Yeah, we all fought over my grandma's cookbooks, and we still all kind of borrow it from each other. We gathered together all her recipes. So there you go. So because I'm using a little bit more water, it is, this paper's quite thin. So there you go. I'm going to go over, oh, let me show you this real quick. Let's see, I think that's about dry. Let me just make a quick swipe here with my heat gun, make sure that's dry. There we go. And then let me show you. So you couldn't really do this with watercolors. Not even couldn't really. You couldn't do this with watercolors. So I've got a pretty bright red there. Let me show you if I have enough gouache here. I can go over that with white paint. Look at that. Now, that's what I was saying. That's the thing I have noticed. So if you're going to go over it, let me do this. because see how it mixed? It reactivated that red. Let me grab some out of my tube here. When I do go from darker to lighter with gouache, I tend to use it directly out of the tube and not add water to it. Because if there's water, it's going to pick up that paint below, which for me, I just think it's probably because the paint is a little thicker. So let me go over this right here. So there you go. Look at how that covered right over that red very easily. You couldn't do that with watercolors. So that's one advantage of gouache, is you can go, as I said, dark to light. Which is nice. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that white actually, and I'm going to do maybe some little sprinkles that look like powdered sugar there. So I am going to wet that a bit. Let me just take a look and see if anybody, hi Amanda, how are you? Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of this white gouache. It's always so fun to see your guys' names pop up. Okay, so I add a little bit more water to that. And then I'm just sprinkling that on there so it looks like powdered sugar. And there you go. I don't even think I'm going to color in those little nuts. I think I'm just going to leave them white like that. I feel like that's a pretty good representation of those nuts. I don't want to put a lot of water. I'm just going to go over this. I'm trying to remember my condensed milk container. I think there's a little thing like that. The other thing with gouache, you guys, some of you may already have found this by using gouache, but I found it dries a lot faster than watercolors. So, you're not going to have that real wet, or I haven't found that, because it does dry quicker, so you have to work a little bit quicker. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to go in and let me just take my little ink pen. I hope you guys try something like this. If you're a cook like me, I always baked with my daughters, so they have a lot of memories of baking with me. And I've got some little wooden spoons up here and a little double boiler. I'll do that as well. Okay. So let's write in chocolate chips here. I've been really, by the way, I don't have my micron pen. Oh, yes, I do. Adding pen and ink to my paintings lately. Let's write in chocolate chips. Look how cute this is. It's really fun. This kind of stuff on a Sunday is so relaxing for me. And before I add that in, I think what I might do is try and create a little bit of a gray here. So let me pick up my Payne's Gray paint. They actually, in this set, they even have a basic gray. So I could really be lazy and just go for the gray they have here. If I was doing this on watercolor paper, I would probably pull out those mirror metallics because I love them so much and kind of have a obsession with those. Now I've got a little bit more water in here than I really want, so I'm just going to tap off my brush a bit and then go in and color the top in just like that, and maybe outline the bottom, maybe some little words down here. There we go. And there's my condensed milk. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my pen and squeeze in the word here, condensed. Isn't this cute though? And so fun. What a fun way to share and pass down some of your memories with your family. I'm going to give that just a quick shot here. Oh, this is new, by the way. If you have watched me before, I was using a blow dryer. This thing was only maybe $12. And I've been using it a lot because when it's cold here in the winter, my watercolors dry really, really slow. And for making these videos, sometimes, because I don't edit, I'm sure that was loud for you guys to listen to. Okay, so I've got my condensed milk. I'm going to go in here and just write in, all right, disclaimer here, I am not a calligrapher, so don't judge. There we go. And I'm about done. I'm going to fill in the little pan. Let me just check out your comments. Let's see, Amanda, good afternoon, good to see you. Hey, Barbara, you use gouache too? Yeah, I've never mixed them together, but actually, you guys, but when using gouache, as the next layer has to be thicker, yeah, not as much water so it doesn't disrupt the bottom layer. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Debbie, you can use fixative and spray over your gouache. Yep, I know that too. I have done that before. Oh, charcoal drawings. Yeah, for sure. Yes, I too am a bit burnt out on the Christmas paintings. Now I'm just ready to enjoy Christmas. I'm kind of tired of painting it, but that's just me. Thanks for all your tips, you guys. I love it when you guys share your tips because a lot of times, you know, myself included, I learn new things all the time. I think what I might do, I hope I don't ruin this right now, but a lot of times I will drizzle chocolate on my, hopefully I didn't just ruin this, guys. If I did, my kids will laugh one day. Be like, oh, Mom, she just didn't know when to stop. Because I have drizzled fudge on, I'm sorry, just chocolate. So you may not want to do this. You may not want to add this in, but I'm kind of wonky. So I'm going to add that in. So there you go. I'm basically done. And I hope that was kind of fun for you. And for those of you that maybe didn't know about gouache, I might have gave you a few little fun tips. And everybody in the feed here had some fun things to add for our tips. So I don't know, it kind of looks like brown spaghetti or brown noodles, doesn't it, you guys? But I think I'm about done. I'm just going to finish up that little pan up there and maybe my little spoons, and that'll be it for me on this. And I hope my kids enjoy this. So there you go. There's my little double boiler. And that's about it. So I hope you guys all have a great day. Let me just check and make sure I'm not missing anything. Kim, no, this is not a watercolor book. I'll look back in my purchases. It's a book by Oahu. It's a mixed media book, actually. And I use watercolors on it. But if you're going to just use very much like a dry mixture so it doesn't warp. And actually that's why I'm using the gouache, so that it doesn't completely warp my paper. Amanda, I absolutely love this idea. It would be a wonderful to pass on. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks, Amanda. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. I just thought this was kind of a fun little Sunday morning live. I'm going to grab my camera here and just switch it around so I can see you all. All right, so I hope you had fun with that. Just something kind of playful to do. And everybody have a great day. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.